So you're thinking about a career as a prison instructor. It's definitely not your typical 9 to 5, that's for sure.
Definitely not.
We're diving deep into some resources from RoleCatcher, kind of like a roadmap for your career, to uncover what this unique role is all about.
Yeah, what's really interesting about this career path is that it's not just about, teaching, it's about making a real, tangible difference.
Right.
Prison instructors are on the front lines of rehabilitation, working within the correctional system to really empower inmates through education.
Yeah, it's like you're planting these seeds of change, right?
Yeah.
But it's got to be more intense than just like lecturing behind bars.
Oh, absolutely. It's way more than just textbooks and tests. We're talking about understanding the individual needs of each inmate, creating personalized learning plans, and building those relationships, often in a very high-pressure environment. I mean, think about it. These students often have unique challenges, experiences that traditional education just hasn't addressed.
It's about meeting them where they're at, right?
Right.
Not judging their past, but helping them build a different future. That's got to be so challenging, but also incredibly rewarding.
It is. It really is about fostering that social reintegration, helping them find their footing, become productive members of society after they're released. But, here's something that might surprise you. The Rolecatcher Guide mentions that a lot of the challenges prison instructors face are, similar to what teachers in any setting deal with. Things like classroom management and engaging students with different learning styles.
That's interesting. So while the setting might be unique, the core principles of teaching, they still apply. You've got to be adaptable, creative, and really passionate about reaching those who might have slipped through the cracks.
And resourceful. You have to be incredibly resourceful.
Oh, for sure.
The work environment section really highlighted how limited resources and funding can be a major, major challenge.
So you're not just a teacher. You're a bit of a counselor, a mentor, maybe even a cheerleader, all rolled into one.
It is a demanding job, that's for sure. But the guide really highlights the profound impact you can have on someone's life. Imagine being that person who helps someone turn their life around, who helps break that cycle of recidivism.
Wow, that's powerful. You're literally shaping the future one student at a time.
Yeah.
But let's be real, it's not all sunshine and roses, right? Working in a correctional facility, that has to come with its own set of risks and challenges.
Yeah, you're right to bring that up. The guide specifically mentions that prison instructors can face, various hazards, including, unfortunately, the potential for violence.
That's heavy stuff. I imagine it takes a lot of courage, a lot of emotional resilience to walk into that kind of environment every day.
Yeah, you need a certain level of mental fortitude, that's for sure. The guide also talks about the emotional toll this work can take. You're dealing with people who have experienced trauma, who might be struggling with addiction, who are just navigating a system that can be incredibly complex.
Yeah, it's not just about teaching them, math or history. It's about supporting them on a much deeper level,
Yeah.
right? Understanding their background, their motivations,
Yeah,
helping them develop the life skills they need to succeed once they are on the outside.
absolutely. And you're often working within a system that can be slow to change with limited resources and, a lot of bureaucracy.
Right.
And that can be frustrating for anyone, especially when you're really passionate about making a difference.
Yeah, you got to be patient, persistent, and like a strong advocate for both your students and the value of the work itself.
For sure.
It's definitely not a job for the faint of heart. Okay, so we've talked about the emotional side of things, but what about the day-to-day tasks? What does a prison instructor actually do?
Well, the what they do section of the guide was really eye-opening. It goes beyond just teaching and grading. It seems like collaboration is a huge, huge part of the job.
Okay.
You're constantly working with guards, social workers, psychologists, a whole team of people dedicated to rehabilitation.
It's like you're all working together to solve this like complex puzzle, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned the what they do section. What else jumped out at you from that?
Honestly, just the sheer variety of tasks,
Right.
They do everything from developing lesson plans, teaching classes, writing progress reports, collaborating with other professionals, like you were saying.
It's like being a teacher, a counselor, a social worker all at once. You got to be so adaptable, so resourceful.
And speaking of resourceful, I was really surprised to learn how much technology is being used in prisons these days.
Really?
The guide mentioned that online learning and virtual classrooms are becoming increasingly common.
Wow. Virtual classrooms in a prison.
Yeah.
That's wild. I guess it makes sense, though, right? You could reach a wider range of inmates that way, even those in solitary confinement.
Exactly. And it could also provide like a safer learning environment in some cases, especially when you're dealing with potentially volatile individuals. Plus, it opens up opportunities to bring in like specialized instructors, maybe even programs from outside the prison.
It's amazing how technology is like bridging those gaps and creating all these new possibilities. So we've talked about the challenges, the rewards, even some of the unexpected like perks of this career path. But let's get down to brass tacks. What does it actually take to become a prison instructor? Like, what kind of skills and knowledge do you need to actually succeed in this role?
Well, the RoleCatcher guide has a whole section on that, thankfully.
Okay.
They break it down into functions and core abilities, which I thought was interesting.
Okay, hit me with the highlights. What are some of the must-have skills for like aspiring prison instructors?
Well, this one probably won't surprise you, but strong communication skills are at the top of the list.
Makes sense.
You're constantly interacting with people from all walks of life, inmates, guards, other professionals, and you have to be able to communicate clearly, effectively, and with sensitivity.
It's not just about what you say, but how you say it, especially in that kind of like high-pressure environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh.
The guide really emphasizes the importance of critical thinking and problem-solving skills.
Okay.
You're going to encounter unexpected situations, challenging students, and, a system that can be, well, less than perfect at times.
Sure.
So you need to be able to think on your feet, make sound judgments, come up with creative solutions.
You got to be resourceful. You got to be resilient. It's not a job for somebody who needs everything spelled out for them.
Exactly. And this might seem obvious, but the guide really emphasizes the importance of patience. You're working with individuals who, may have had really negative experiences with authority figures, who might be resistant to change, who are carrying a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
You need to be patient, understanding, and genuinely committed to their growth.
It's about building trust, rapport,
Mm-hmm.
which takes time. It takes consistency. What about the knowledge part of the equation? What are some of the essential areas of like knowledge they highlight?
Well, unsurprisingly, having a solid understanding of the criminal justice system is really crucial.
Right.
You need to know how the system works, the challenges that inmates face, both inside and outside, the resources that are available to them. And the guide also mentions that familiarity with like different learning styles and teaching methodologies is really key.
Yeah, for sure.
You're working with a very diverse group of learners, many of whom may have learning disabilities or have fallen behind in their education.
So it's not just about knowing your subject matter, but it's about being able to tailor your teaching approach to meet the needs of each individual. Kind of like personalized learning on steroids, right?
Exactly. And the guide stresses that a background in psychology or counseling can be incredibly valuable.
Oh yeah, you're not just an educator, you're a bit of a therapist too. You're helping these individuals process their past, cope with the present, and build a better future. It's a lot of responsibility.
It is, but it's also incredibly rewarding too. The guide emphasizes that this job is about so much more than just a paycheck. It's about making a real difference in the lives of people who often feel invisible, forgotten.
It's that human connection. It's the empathy. It's the power of education to transform lives. Now, the guide also talks about, specific qualifications. What do you actually need on your resume to even, like, get your foot in the door?
Yeah, they're pretty upfront about it. A bachelor's degree is usually the bare minimum, and they recommend focusing on fields like education, psychology, social work, or even criminal justice.
So, like, a strong foundation in human behavior, social sciences.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Okay. That makes sense. But they also mentioned certifications too, right?
Yes, a teaching certification is a huge plus, and they highlighted counseling certifications as being particularly valuable. Some states even have specialized certifications specifically for educators who work within correctional facilities.
So it's worth, like, checking out what those requirements are in your specific state. I imagine it can vary quite a bit.
Absolutely. And here's something I found really intriguing. They emphasize that this isn't a field where you can just learn the basics and then coast.
Right.
You need to be a lifelong learner, staying up to date on the latest research, best practices, and evolving policies within the criminal justice system.
So you're constantly evolving your skills and your knowledge to meet the changing needs of not just your students, but the system itself.
For sure.
It's a career that really challenges you to grow both, like personally and professionally. I'm sensing the theme here.
Yeah.
This is not your average 9-to-5 job.
You got that right.
Not at all.
It takes a special kind of person to thrive in this environment. Someone who is passionate, resilient, resourceful, and deeply, deeply committed to making a difference.
It sounds like incredibly challenging work, but also incredibly rewarding. Like you're not just impacting the lives of your students, you're contributing to a safer, more just society.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that actually brings us to another really important aspect of this career path, the potential for growth.
Okay, so let's say you're like all in on this. You've got the skills, you've got the passion, the dedication. What does like climbing the ladder in this field actually look like?
Well, the RoleCatcher Guide lays out some pretty interesting possibilities. Starting out, you'd probably be working as a classroom instructor, but as you gain experience, expertise, you could move into like leadership roles within the prison itself.
Okay.
Think about like becoming a lead educator, developing curriculum, or even like heading up a specific program like literacy or vocational training.
So you could have a real impact on like shaping the educational landscape within the prison system. That's pretty amazing.
It is, and it highlights how this job is about so much more than just teaching individual inmates, right? You really have the potential to contribute to systemic change, like advocating for better resources, more effective programs, and ultimately a more rehabilitative approach to incarceration.
Now that's what I call making a difference. What other like growth paths did they mention?
Well, some prison instructors actually use their experience to kind of transition into roles outside the prison walls.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They might go into like policy work, advocating for criminal justice reform, or they might become consultants, sharing their expertise with organizations that are working to reduce recidivism.
So you could take your knowledge, your passion, and apply it to a whole new playing field. That's really empowering.
Exactly. And it speaks to the transferable skills you develop in this role. I mean, you become an expert in communication, conflict resolution, cultural sensitivity, and of course, teaching and mentoring.
Right.
These are valuable assets in like countless fields.
That's a really important point. This isn't a dead-end job by any means. There are opportunities for growth, both within the prison system and beyond.
Yeah.
It all just comes down to, your individual goals, your aspirations.
Absolutely. And that's where, RoleCatcher can be such a valuable tool because they don't just provide information, they provide guidance.
Right. And we've been like geeking out on their career guide this whole episode, but they have a ton of other resources too, don't they?
They do. They have a job board that aggregates postings from all over, which is super helpful, when you're first starting out. Plus, they have this AI tool called RoleCatcher Copilot,
Okay.
and it can actually help you optimize your resume and cover letter.
Wait, AI for your resume. Tell me more about that.
It's actually really cool. You upload your resume, the AI analyzes it, comparing it to the specific skills and keywords employers are looking for, in prison instructor candidates. And then it suggests ways to improve your wording, highlight your most relevant experience, and basically make your application stand out from the crowd.
Wow. That's like having a career coach in your pocket, especially in like a competitive job market. That kind of edge could make all the difference.
Exactly. And they also have resources for interview prep, like common interview questions, tips for showcasing your skills and experience. They even have like this AI-powered mock interview feature.
Oh, wow.
That simulates a real interview and gives you feedback on your performance.
So you can practice your answers, work on your delivery, and walk into that interview feeling like confident and prepared.
Exactly. RoleCatcher really seems to have thought of everything to help you succeed on this career path.
Well, there you have it. If you're looking for a career that's both challenging and rewarding, a career where you can make a real difference in the lives of others and contribute to, a more just and equitable society, then becoming a prison instructor might just be the path for you.
It's a career that demands a lot, but it gives back tenfold. If you have the passion, the dedication, and, that certain kind of resilience, this could be an incredibly fulfilling journey.
Absolutely. We hope this deep dive has given you a better understanding of what it takes to thrive in this kind of unique and often overlooked profession. Remember, change starts with education. Prison instructors are on the front lines of that change. One student, one classroom, one prison at a time.
And who knows, you might just be the spark that ignites a lifelong love of learning in someone who thought they'd never have that chance.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of prison instruction. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.